Today's video is sponsored by the team over at NiceHash.com. NiceHash is the world's leading hash power marketplace and home to millions of GPU and ASIC miners selling their hash power instead of mining directly. Miners have been struggling to overcome high operating costs, like their monthly electric bills and low mining profits. The team at NiceHash has been working on a new way for miners to help boost profitability with a brand new twist. NiceHash is excited to announce the launch of a brand new solo mining concept called Catch the Block. Here's how it works. Step 1. Create an account at nicehash.com. Step 2. Visit the solo mining dashboard. Step 3. Choose the package of choice. And finally, step 4. Purchase that package and bam, you're done. Let the solo mining begin. Thanks again to the team over at NiceHash for sponsoring today's video. What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, today we're talking about the dangers of spec mining, and I thought who better to join me than 𝐓𝐫𝐲𝐸. Welcome, Seb.
Thank you so much for having me, Hobbyist. Always a pleasure chatting with you.
It's always a lot of fun. So today, guys, before we get started, I want to give you a heads up. This is part of a small mini two-part series that'll be discussing spec mining. And the second part of this video will actually be found over on Seb's channel. So stay till the very end for the link directly over to that second part series on a full guide to spec mining. So Seb, you ready to dive in to talk a little bit more about the dangers of spec mining?
Absolutely. Let's get started.
Alrighty, so first off, guys, we're going to talk about, we have three different items to chat about today. And the first one is going to be about one of the dangers is a lot of these spec mining projects that you guys will get into, that you'll go down these rabbit holes or you'll follow the hype behind. Unfortunately, one of the dangers is that there's a big chance, huge chance, that coin and algorithm will be gone in 6 months to a year. Have you ever run into this, Seb?
No, but I have spec mined what was then called Ravencoin Lite, which is now called Avian, which is a project that kind of just didn't really go anywhere. I think I mined almost 100,000 of that coin, and I think that's still only worth maybe a couple of dollars or something like that. Of course, I'm still crossing my fingers that it goes to like $10 per coin, but no, I think it's still like a penny or a fraction of a penny or something like that per coin, unfortunately. But yeah, just like you say, very high chance or risk, I should say, that like most of the coins you spec mine will just end up either completely folding and going under, or just kind of never taking off and going anywhere. But that's not why we're doing it, right? Like spec mining is almost like a bit of gambling, where we're mining these coins in the hope with the hope that the small chance of it going up 10,000 times in price will happen.
Yes, exactly. A lot of these smaller projects that just kick off, that you just come across, sometimes only have one guy behind them, like one developer or 2 or 3 guys behind them. And so what happens is either, which is normal in a team, that they break apart, frustrations happen, they decide to go separate ways, they don't have the time for it, so it just falls off. Or as Seb has said, it folds. I mean, we ran into that with Ravencoin Lite, where there was a dispute amongst the developers, and then all of a sudden Ravencoin Lite went from like, oh, check out this new hype thing, you could gain so much of it per day, to all of a sudden it was like, all right, it's kind of gone. And then it did rekindle back to Avian, but still, that is something that is a risk with everything. Not everything is meant for success and will be successful. So that is the number one danger that we want to list out today, is be careful. What you put your time into today may not be here tomorrow. Now, jumping into our second one here, guys, we're going to talk about being careful what you're spec mining. And Seb, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So with this being the crypto space, it could be a lot of dodgy things out there. And since, with these coins that pop up, well, first of all, if there's something that seems too good to be true, it usually is, right? And in that vein, like, make sure you are very careful with what you're downloading onto your computers. With most of these new coins, right, you need to download their official core wallet from their GitHub usually, and that is a risk in its own. You know, how do you know that that isn't just malware that is going to steal your crypto keys, or you know, be a keylogger to, you know, get your bank details or whatever. And not only that, if the specific coin you're mining requires you to download a specific miner that they themselves put out, that might be a little bit of a red flag as well. So just be very cautious about what software you are downloading onto your computer, and also what computer you are downloading that to. So that is a little bit of a short point, but it ties well into our next coin, which is how can you sort of protect yourself. And we are going to give you sort of two examples, mine being a little bit more of like a newbie way of protecting yourself, and then we're going to have Hobbyist Miner, who is very knowledgeable in this space, give you sort of a bit more of a pro security setup. But what I'm going to say is like how I've approached some of these, you know, more are they okay, are they not, sort of spec mining projects before, like the Ravencoin Lite one, which is now Avian, is I have a sort of Windows machine built purposely for this, where I do like, I buy a new SSD for each coin I'm spec mining. So the system only has like one SSD that I swap out for each coin. So, you know, I will buy a new, so if I'm spec mining a new coin, let's say I'm mining Hobbyist coin, and that's very dodgy, so I'm not sure I can trust that. No, just kidding around. But let's say I'm mining this new Hobbyist coin, right? So what I'll do is I'll buy a new SSD, but they're only like $25-$30 or something, because you don't need a big one, you know, or a fast one for that matter. And I'll make a clean install of Windows on that SSD, and then I will just download what I need to download. Usually it's only the core wallet you need to download. So I'll download that, make sure I get that all set up, make sure I get my wallet address, you know, to put into HyperV or whatever later, right? And then I will just unplug that SSD and put it in a box somewhere where it cannot infect anything else. I guess the best thing would be to even have that computer hooked up, like, I don't know, on a public Wi-Fi somewhere else away from your home where it cannot reach your other machines. But that might be a bit weird to like carry a PC to like Starbucks or something.
That's right. But hey, you're being secure. You're being secure, which is good.
Exactly. But what's your sort of more advanced security setup there?
Yeah, so a project that I've taken on, and this is fun to me, like I'm looking forward to it, I'll have a video coming out on this here shortly, is I went ahead and purchased a HP ProLiant server. It's a 1U server, nothing too crazy. It's like 100 series, like 180 or something like that. And what I've done is I've actually installed Microsoft Server 2019 on it, which then allows me to install Hyper-V. I'm more comfortable on the Microsoft Hyper-V side than on the ESXi side. And I'll install a VM for each of the projects that I'm working on. So give an example, Neoxa. I've turned up a VM on there, a Windows 10 VM, and I literally only have Neoxa on that VM. The core wallet's installed on that Windows 10 version, and it's on there and good to go. And then I actually have a few others, like more recently I had a video on with MetaMask and 𝐓𝐫𝐲𝐻, and so that's just a browser extension. So I just set up a new VM, set up Google Chrome, and added that extension on there. And one more is like, it's really funny, Chump Change gives me a hard time, it's called the Bob wallet. I know, and it is a extension for Google Chrome for handshake mining with those mini ASIC gold shells. And so what I do is each of them has their own VM. When I'm done syncing, I just power it off and keep it completely powered off. So the VM's not active. There's no risk of access to it when I'm not syncing it. It's completely separated. I actually have that Hyper-V host on its own VLAN, it's called. And for those not familiar, I can VLAN it, which means the traffic can't go between VLANs. So it doesn't have access to the rest of like my mining rigs and my home editing PC and stuff. And then the last thing I do, talking about backup and redundancy, which is what Seb had talked about, is I use a free product. It's called Windows Server Backup. It's fully available. It's free. Doesn't require anything specifically. And I hook up a USB drive to the actual server, and I back up each one. I have it scheduled, and then I put it in a home safe. So now I have it in like multiple locations. You know, it's not only on the Hyper-V server and powered down, but if my house burns down or there's a flood or something happens, I have a full copy of that exact scenario and VM stored in a home safe. So yeah, so a little bit overkill, but I think there's two sides to this. Both of them work great. It really just comes down to your skill level and knowledge.
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. So that is going to go ahead and wrap up this short 10-minute video on the dangers of spec mining. As I mentioned before, this series is going to continue over on Seb's channel. So I'm going to leave a link in the upper right-hand corner as well as down below. So please go over and check that out now. It is live and available for you guys to enjoy. Once again, Seb, thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.